Hello and welcome back to Suspended Animation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and this is Project Blue Book, Season 2, Episode 2, The Roswell Incident, Part 2. Holy shit. That's all I can say. We got some good revelations out of this. Before I start, let me take care of some business first. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you're still on the fence about subscribing at the very end there of this video, you're going to see a video pop up here. Basically, what YouTube does, it takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, matches it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library, and pops it up there for you. Up here is going to be Is It Worth My Time? Godzilla King of the Monsters. So it's going to be up there. If you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you can hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at my schedule. It's up there, change that every Monday. And it's also my Facebook page as well. Speaking of Facebook, you can join in on the group chat that's there and post stuff and talk amongst yourselves. There's also Twitter, Instagram, and a Patreon page, but no tier sub as of yet. There will be soon. So, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. So, holy shit. For those of you who haven't joined me before, I do a quick recap of the show, and then I do a review of it at the end here. I intersperse some of the review sometimes in the middle of the recap as I get hit with revelations and stuff like that. So bear with me on that. It's pretty quick though on the recap. So we start off where we left off, where at the Walker Air Force Base on high alert after the crash in town with that saucer. Everyone shows up, including Hynek, and Hynek is asked his opinion. He's like, "Your guess is as good as mine," is what Harding asks him. And as he starts approaching it, and we see a figure start coming out of the fog, and the soldiers raise their guns and everything. And that's when Hynek goes, "Hey, Duncan, how's it going?" kind of thing. And Duncan Booker comes out of the smoke and cops to everything at this point. So the general, Harding, is interrogating Duncan in his cell, and he wants to know why he was doing all this. And Duncan says, you know what? He told the truth, and then he was told not to mention it ever again. He's saying this in front of Quinn and Hynek, and Harding's there as well. And he wasn't going to mention it ever again until he saw the UFOs over, Washington, D.C. and said, the son of a bitches are at it again, kind of thing. And I need to actually, uh, I need to say something about it at this point in time. So he says, I still have a piece of the saucer. And he goes, I'm going to release it to the press unless you come clean about what's happening on live TV. And, the general's like, this isn't going to happen. So he tells Hynek and Quinn, go and search Booker's place, search every inch of it and tell me what you find. And they take off. Hynek, in the meantime, is like, you know what? We're coming up to Stewart's house. Let's take a look at Stewart's house. He said he had the body. He goes, we know where it's at. We're only a half mile away. Let's go. And Quinn's like, you know what? Harding told us to go over to Booker's house. We should get over there. And he goes, it's right here. Let's just stop. So, of course, they stop. They find the dead tree. They start digging in different places. I should say Quinn's digging in different places. When they do find the body, they find a bag with some skeletons in it. Yeah, so Blackstone in the meantime comes in and tells Harding they didn't find anything over at Booker's house. And, and then he says, oh, yeah, and Hynek and Quinn never showed up, is what he tells them. And that pisses off Harding quite a bit. So Quinn and Hynek are driving back, and they stop off at a mortuary and knock on the door, just kind of pound on the door in the middle of the night and say, hey, we need to use your facilities. We need your expertise, kind of thing. So Harding, in the meantime, starts waterboarding Booker to find out what the fuck, where that piece is of that saucer. And Booker says, you know what? There is no piece. I just wanted more money because you gave everyone else in the town money, and you didn't give me any money for shutting up, even though I told you everything I knew. And we cut back over to the mortician. The mortician's looking at the bone, says it's nothing human. And he says, they finally identify themselves as part of Project Blue Book. And they say, just tell us what you know. You could become a hero. Just let us know what happened. And the mortician says, well, there were 5 bodies, 5 aliens that were piloting the spacecraft. He says, also, since I'm a mortician, I also double as the ambulance driver. So when all hell was breaking loose, I was, ferrying people back over to the base hospital. And he says that's when the nurse told me to, drive away, get the fuck away as fast as possible, which is Judy, by the way. And he happened to see the door swing open and saw them doing an alien autopsy in there. And he says that's what he saw was the alien autopsy. So Quinn and Hynek, they're going to the hospital. They're going to go and look for this nurse, of course. And who do they run into? But they run into Harding, and Harding's like, "Where the fuck were you guys?" And Hynek's like, the back roads. I got lost. It all looks like track housing to me, so it's my fault. We got lost, And Harding says, "Well, Booker confessed everything. Everything's done. We're going to go on TV and talk about this." We should, make a toast. He goes, I'm going to bring some really good scotch. We're going to drink, unless you're going to be a sourpuss, is what he tells the professor. So Harding has a little bit of knowledge that the Enola Gay came out of, Roswell there. That's where it dropped, the one that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, or Hiroshima, excuse me. And, he starts talking about honor and heroes and things like that. And Hynek gets pissed off because he goes, well, you know what? All the people that died on the ground should also be part of that history as well. It should always be remembered. And he basically calls Harding a coward. And Harding's getting ready to kick his ass. And Quinn's like, oh, he's probably drunk. He can't hold his liquor kind of thing. And that's when Hynek gets up and says, I need to go and take a piss. And he takes off. And Quinn immediately is like, well, maybe I should go and check on him. And Harding's like, yeah, why don't you do that? And while you're at it, tell him he's fired and he's no longer part of Project Blue Book. And he kicks his ass out. So Quinn meets up with Hynek out in the hallway. And he's like, what the fuck? And Hynek's like, that was our excuse so we can get out of here so we can go find the nurse. And that's when Quinn tells him, oh, and by the way, Harding says you're fired. He goes, well, that means we have to do this a little bit faster then because, shit's going to happen. We have to do it tonight. So they get a list of the names of the nurses that were there at the base, and they're hunting them all down one by one. They're driving out there, and they finally get to the last name. And he goes, "Wait a minute, her last name is different here than it is in the um, on the listing, and she's about half mile away." And they find out that it's actually Booker's wife, which is Judy. And they see the car is running, and they stop her from getting away just in time. And she's got film of the alien autopsy on her, and she's running off to the TV station. Yeah. So they watch the film at her house, and it leaves them speechless at this point. And Quinn is just freaking out because now he's got irrefutable proof that aliens exist, and he just wants a drink at this point. And Hynek deduces that she was going to take it to the TV station, and the TV station is actually in on it as well, and they were going to broadcast it. So Valentine, in the meantime, calls up a very drunk Harding and says, hey, you're going to be on TV in an hour. You better fucking sober up, because if you fuck this up, Project Blue Book and you are gone at this point. You're going to be blown away. And Harding says, when have I ever disappointed you? When have I not cleaned up messes like this? He goes, don't worry about it. I can do it. So Quinn wants to bring the film to Harding, and, Hynek does not want him to do this, of course. And of course, Quinn leaves supposedly with the film. So Quinn ends up running into Harding just before he's leaving for the TV station and says, well, you need to look at this. We need to look at this now. It's something you need to look at. And Harding grabs the film from him, opens it up, and it's empty. And he's like, we're going to talk about this later. I don't have time for this shit now. And he leaves. So Quinn comes back and confronts Hynek at Judy's house, and Judy is gone at this point, and he punches out Hynek for not having his back. And Quinn's like, you know what, he tries the phone, of course, to try to phone the TV station. Of course, that's out. So he's like, we're gonna drive there. I'm taking the back roads, we'll get there. And of course, Judy in the meantime is getting to the TV station just as Harding is already there. And Hynek goes with him and apologizes on the way back. And Quinn berates him and says, they basically have the argument, what happens if this stuff does get out, that aliens do exist? What happens to the public? Will they freak out? Will they not freak out? What the fuck happens? Have you ever thought of that? And Quinn's like, just let it happen. Or Hynek's like, let it happen. Why do you need to, why do you need to hold? Why do you need to control this at this point? Just let it happen, kind of thing. And Quinn's like, you know what? People just aren't ready for this. They really aren't. They really aren't ready for this at this point. So they get to the TV station and they rush inside just in time to see Hynek or excuse me, just in time for Harding to go live on TV. And Quinn doesn't stop anything at this point. So Booker throws Harding under the bus, of course, on live TV and says, yeah, he goes, you came in back when Roswell first happened. You beat up me and my wife. You threatened our lives, and you even cut me a check just now to keep me quiet. And he goes, this isn't your signature, isn't it? On this check. And he says, oh, and by the way, here's the alien autopsy that we have as well. And they start throwing the film up on the screen there, or up on the wall, and start broadcasting over the TV cameras. And you see Harding just shocked, and he's like, what are you doing? What's happening? I don't, he basically calls the troops in at this point to basically arrest everybody, because he's like, you stupid fool, you don't know what the fuck you've done. And he's gonna basically wipe off the town off the map, essentially. And that's when Hynek steps in and goes, don't worry, the broadcast hasn't left this room. He goes, I, disabled the antenna. No one's, and it's not going out. He goes, and besides that, that film is a fake. You can tell from the lights. The light pattern is the same as the one that's in here. He goes, you'll even see that clock that's on the wall is the same one that's inside the film. He goes, they recreated the film here, in the studio. And so, and he gives Quinn credit for this at this point. So Harding arrests, of course, Booker, Judy, and the film crew and takes them out and, shakes Quinn's hand and pretty much reinstates Hynek back into the Project Blue Book fold at this point. Yeah. So, yeah. And as they go outside, Quinn's like, what the fuck was that all about? You could have just had this thing blown wide open. And Hynek says, you know what? A fake film uh, portrayed as truth is no better than Harding's lies. And he goes, it just won't work. He goes, if it's going to come out as true, we need to have actual proof, real proof, not faked proof at this point. So we see Quinn come home to a half naked Susie waiting for him in lingerie, which is always good. So we know that she's pretty much moved in with him at this point. Hynek comes home to Mimi and she's asleep on the couch. He wakes her up and she kisses him and everything's good. And we see Valentine and Harding watching the film. And Valentine says, they did a good job. They did a really good job of this. And he goes, but of course, you didn't fall for this, is what he tells Harding, just like you didn't fall for it when the Russians did this in Roswell in 47. Because I can't believe Joseph Mengele disfigured those children to make them look like that, to screw with our minds. And he goes, but you still didn't fall for it. And Harding's like, yeah, you're right. I didn't. Should I put this in the vault with the others? And Valentine's like, yeah. He goes, maybe in 10 years, we'll release some of them to the masses to give them something to chew on. And he leaves. And we see Harding sitting there left drinking, thinking about things that were going on. And that's how we leave off on the episode. And that's a big holy shit right there. Because I actually started thinking during the whole, episode, does Harding not really believe in aliens at this point? Is he just, does he have some kind of other reality going on in his head as to what's going on? And the answer is yes. He doesn't believe that it's aliens. He thinks it's Russians fucking with him at this point, because that's what Valentine is telling him. And it's like, good God, man, this is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, all this evidence that's in front of him, and yet he's getting it wiped away. Well, it's that whole thing of something so incredulous happening in front of your eyes that if someone's telling you that it's something else, something simplified, that you'll believe it at that point rather than what the truth is. And yeah, so Harding is as much of a tool as Valentine is doing at this point. And it's kind of fucked up. I mean, So Valentine is the mastermind of this whole thing after all. That's what we find out here. And I found that fairly interesting, to tell you the truth. Applecross says I missed the first half of the episode, and as such, this one kind of fell flat for me. I'll watch the whole later. Kale Harrison says, deep down, I believe the film scared the shit out of Harding. Yeah, it did. It totally scared the shit out of Harding because it reminded him. You could tell he has PTSD, severe PTSD, especially when he was talking about to Valentine over the phone about when he got shot down and all that stuff, and how he still maintained composure and everything. And it's kind of like he's talking himself up in order to ramp himself up so he can do whatever he needs to do. And you can tell he's got a lot of PTSD from what happened in the war, also what he's been going through with this whole, alien cover up thing. And he's not the best person to probably be in charge of all of this, quite honestly. He's probably not that mentally stable. And I'm wondering, I don't know if the real Harding committed suicide or not, because that's what it looks like he's going towards at this point. Um, Omega Altira 101 says, compared to the season premiere, it definitely fell flat. I don't know. For me, it didn't fall flat, especially that ending. That ending is what, sold it to me. And that's what I liked about that. Yeah. So yeah, some good stuff. And I'm looking forward to next week's. I have to change out my thumbnail too. I just realized I had next week's picture on there. I was looking for pictures on there because of course it was before it aired. So I didn't have anything to put up there and I grabbed the wrong picture. I'll find a suitable alien autopsy one and pop it up there for you guys. Because I did like their alien that they had, the little teeth that he had, the little, stubby teeth, the little sharp teeth and everything. Oh, that was pretty good. So yeah, I actually I enjoyed this episode. I did. I know some of you thinking it fell kind of flat, but for me it didn't. No. So what else do I have coming up this week? I'm off on Wednesday and Thursday, of course. I'm back on Friday with Harley Quinn, a new episode of Harley Quinn. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any of the genre stuff you guys want to talk about and talk about that. And Sunday is going to be another stab at Avenue 5. We'll see what happens with that. Monday, of course, is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this one's going to be October Faction, the Netflix series October Faction. And we come back around to Tuesday for another episode of Project Blue Book. So everyone's kind of quiet in the chat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen with Harding. If Harding actually, I might need to do a little research because I don't remember what happened with Harding on that. So I'm gonna have to see what really happened with the real Harding in real life. I know what happened with Hynek. I don't know what happened with Quinn. I don't know if Quinn joined Hynek at some point when he started vocally coming out about aliens or not. So I need to do a little bit of research. That's my homework assignment on that. So, all right. So if you like what you see here, remember to like, share, and subscribe. You'll see that down below there. And also, if you're still on the fence about joining up, at the very end of this video, you're going to see a video pop up here. Basically, what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up there for you. Also, up here is going to be Is It Worth My Time? Godzilla King of the Monsters is what's going to be up there. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I have a Patreon page. I also have a Facebook page, which you guys can, a Facebook group page, I should say, where you can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. I also have a schedule that's up on suspendedfanimation.com, and it's also up on my Facebook page as well. So there you go. All right. Is everyone still alive out there, or did aliens come and abduct you and start probing you in weird places that you never thought of before. And yeah. Kale Harrison says, love this episode. I've always been enamored with the whole Roswell accident. And this episode just fueled the fire. I've actually been to Roswell. I grew up in Albuquerque. Oh, wow. Okay. Roswell's a pretty wild town. Yeah. Penn Farm Girl says, I'm still liking the show. Can't wait to see what else they cover. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what other unexplained phenomenon they're going to be uh, covering. Oh, you're watching the ending right now. Hey, Joker. Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. Thank you, everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you guys if you made it this far in the video. Again, like I said, I will be back on Friday with the fantabulous Harley Quinn, because I guess that's what they're calling her now. Yeah, well, the movie and everything. The TV show, the animated series, if you're not watching it, it is seriously one of the best TV series on TV right now. It's most well-written show that I've ever seen or heard, I should say, and seen. And it's just fucking funny to boot. It really is. Yeah. Explosions. The streets will run red with Razzie Zazzy. Or the streets will run with Razzie Zazzy. Oh, I love Bane. Bane is just fucking hilarious. He really is. So, with that said, thank you very much, and I will see you on Friday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may be you may get convinced by General Valentine that what you saw isn't aliens and just some fucked up children that Dr. Mangala screwed with. Thanks, everybody. I will see you on Friday. Have a good rest of your night.